We're ready? All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Howard Marcy, Special Magistrate for the City of Oviedo. Today is April 23, 2015, and this is the April session for hearings of the Oviedo Special Magistrate. The purpose of the hearing today is to consider and rule upon allegations by the city that some people are not in violation or not in compliance with the city land development code. My job today is to hear evidence from both the city and the property owners and to make a decision as to, first, is there a violation, and if there is, what do we have to do to correct it? All testimony today is going to be under oath, simply for ease of moving the thing along. Who's going to be presenting the cases for the city today? All of them? Yes, sir. All right, if you would step forward, Mr. Orioles, and I'll administer the oath to you. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you shall give today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right. As your case is called, we'll administer the oath to each of the property owners. First case today on the agenda is a case of Laredo Ramon and Rivera Teresa. I don't know if I'm pronouncing those names correctly or not. The property is 3435 Heirloom Rose Place, Oviedo, Florida 32766. The tax parcel ID is 172132 5QA 00001800. Who is here for the property owner? All right. And step up to the mic if you would, sir. And what is your name?
My name is Ramon Laurido.
All right. Would you raise your right hand, sir? Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right. You may be seated. We'll hear first from the city, and then we'll hear from you, sir. All right, Mr. Orioles. The charge here is violation of Section 4.11b, prohibited uses and special exclusions, prohibited accessory uses. What does the city have to present?
Yes, sir. This is a case involving unlicensed, inoperable vehicles. However, in this case, it's unlicensed vehicles maintained on the property, sir. I have a packet for Your Honor, if I may approach.
Yes. All right, I've received from Mr. Orioles a package of documents. The package contains 14 documents. All right, Mr. Orioles, go ahead.
Yes, sir. On February 24th, Your Honor, this is a case that was supposed to have been heard at the last magistrate meeting. but as there were scheduling difficulties, it could not be heard, so it's going to be heard
Right.
today. On February 24th, an inspection was made on a property. We received a complaint of unlicensed vehicles on the property and possible business activity. However, we have not gone forward with a case for possible business activity. We are only presenting a case just for unlicensed vehicles. The initial inspection found that there were 3 vehicles in the respondent's driveway that were unlicensed, and a notice of violation was issued on February 25th, 2015, with a correction date of March the 8th. Your Honor will see that the documents were received and signed for.
All right, I'm looking at a photograph. It has 3 vehicles, a blue vehicle, a white vehicle.
Yes, sir, that's the initial inspection.
All 3 are unlicensed?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
A re-inspection was performed on March the 9th, and that will be the second picture that Your Honor has, showing that the Thunderbird, the car in front of it was a Mercedes, which was also unlicensed. The Thunderbird was unlicensed. And the tag on the white vehicle was actually for another vehicle. It's for a black vehicle because it's currently in the driveway now. An affidavit of violation was made out, and a notice of hearing was sent. That notice was received. However, that hearing was canceled due to scheduling problems. We have hand-delivered another notice of hearing for today's hearing to the respondent. You have an affidavit of hand delivery for that notice of hearing. The respondent is present. And this morning, I went to the residence to do a re-inspection, and there was a brown Jeep Cherokee in the driveway with a tag on it that, if Your Honor will see the last documents in the packet, the vehicle detail on the first one that's stapled together shows that the vehicle has no tag issued. The second document shows the tag that was on the vehicle, PE894M, says alert when it comes back from the state. Alert, temporary license plate is no longer assigned to a vehicle. So as of this morning, that brown Jeep Cherokee is an unlicensed vehicle.
So that would be a 4th vehicle.
Well, that's the only one there at the present time.
Okay.
As of this morning, there's only one unlicensed vehicle on the property, and that's that one. The blue Mercedes has been removed. The white Mercedes has been removed. The pickup truck has been removed. The Thunderbird has been removed. But we're playing like musical chairs with unlicensed vehicles.
And the brown, what type of vehicle is it? Cherokee, is it?
Yes, sir.
What's the problem with the license on that?
The license plate comes back. It says temporary license plate is no longer assigned to a vehicle. And in running the VIN for the vehicle, there was no plate assigned to it.
Do we know what's become of the other 3 vehicles, the original 3 vehicles?
The first vehicle, the Mercedes that was in the very front, the blue one you can barely see in the picture, it was owned by a lady across the street. She has removed it. She was very cooperative, and as soon as she understood there was a problem, she removed that vehicle. It's not on her property. I have no idea where it is. It has not turned up in the city limits.
Okay.
The other vehicles, I have no idea what happened to them, sir.
When's the last time the other 2 vehicles, the blue, looks like maybe a Thunderbird,
March the 9th.
Ford,
March
and
the
the
9th.
pickup, when were they last seen on the property?
March the 9th, sir. The pickup was not seen on March the 9th. The other 2 were seen on March 9th. According to the neighbors, Your Honor, we've had several problems, complaints with this. It's a more or less a musical chair situation, and we would like to make sure that the respondent is aware that bringing vehicles to his property that are not licensed and trying a little chicanery by putting dealer tags or wrong tags on them does not constitute legally registered vehicles. This case took 58 days, and we would ask Your Honor to consider the deception involved in this case when assessing the fine.
And what is the corrective action that the city is requesting?
That the respondent be given whatever reasonable time Your Honor believes to remove the
All unlicensed
all
vehicles?
unlicensed vehicles, and any further violation of 4.11B will be a repeat violation, and will be dealt with that way.
All right, sir. All right. The property owner? And you again, sir, are Laurita Ramon?
Laurido Ramon, yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Ramon, tell us about these vehicles. What do you have to present today?
The previous vehicles in the photos, the original of the problem, the first old Mercedes and the Thunderbird. The Mercedes was from my neighbor that I just wanted to help her to deal with a little problem the car has, but both cars run. There are no junks there in my house. All cars that have been in my house, all of them run. The Thunderbird is a car that I bought for restoring, and I was waiting for the people that were going to do the job to get the car to the shop, and it's already there. And the white Mercedes is also a car of mine that I have just to collect it. It's not a car that I'm using. That was the reason it was not with the correct plate. When he came last time, he saw a different plate, but it was my mistake because I called the DMD, and they told me which place to use, and I wrongly put the wrong one on the car. That was my mistake. And the truck was never mine.
Was yours or
Huh?
was yours or was not yours?
No. The truck was, I got a problem in the house. There was a leak, and they came, I was out in Miami, so the water went all over the house, so they came and cut all the walls, so it was a big job. I have a copy of the job here, and the truck was used by one of the gentlemen that was fixing the house. It was not my truck, it was his truck. And this last Cherokee Jeep that is plated, that car, it's in good standing because that's a car of my nephew. My nephew have a dealer in Miami, and he uses a car that he stays in my house because when he comes to the auctions here in Orlando, he drives one of his cars that is here. But it's not a car that is being sold, or I don't have any type of dealer nor business in my house. I have never done it. It's just a nephew that has a dealer. I have his license here of his dealer that is in Miami, that is not here in Orlando, that I can give you.
All right. All right.
He
I'm
uses that car.
receiving into evidence a one-page document, 2015 Florida Annual Resale Certificate for tax sale, and this has to do with your nephew's vehicle.
Yes, that's the Cherokee that he sees in the picture, and that plate is a temporary plate that goes to any car that he uses in the dealer. He don't register the car until it's sold to the next person.
How often is
That's
that
how the
vehicle?
law functions on the DMD.
How often is that vehicle at your property?
No, it's not always. It's when he's coming to Orlando, he uses the car. And he gets it, and he goes to Miami with it, and I don't see of him anymore. And that's something to tell me that I can tell the neighbor, hey, your family cannot visit you. But that's what he's doing. It's just a temporary thing. He may be in my house 1 day or 2 days, and that's it. He don't live there.
All right. Anything else to present, Mr. Ramon?
Yeah, I have about the repairs that I told you of the house, of the damages that were done, and the reason why I was not using my garages to park my cars. The builders of the garages were with the machines that the guys that were fixing the house were using.
And this has to do with the pickup truck.
Yes.
Okay. I'm looking, and I will receive in evidence a package of documents stapled together. One. Ten pages. And as I understand it, this explains why the pickup truck was there.
Yes.
And you don't know why it was unlicensed, I assume, because it wasn't your truck.
Yeah. It was not
All
mine.
right. But the Thunderbird was your vehicle.
That's my vehicle.
And what was the other vehicle? Which one was yours? One of the Mercedes
The
was
white
yours?
Mercedes is my vehicle.
Do they now both the Thunderbird and the Mercedes now have
They are in
current
storage.
licenses?
Yes, because they are in storage. They've been making us new. I'm restoring those cars.
All right. So they're not parked on your property now?
No, they're not there.
Right. You don't have any plans to park them there?
As soon as they are, as they should, as a new car, because I think that maybe that's the complaint of some of the neighbors, that they think that they are old, and I don't know what would that make a difference, because even that old that they are have more value than what they have new. But that's something that I have my garages that now I can use, and I will park them in my garages.
Right. Anything else to present, sir?
Not at this time. I have
Right.
my, maybe the tax, that I don't have any business. Is that important for you?
Well, that's not before us today, sir. Okay. All right. Mr. Orioles, do you have anything further?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I'd like to reiterate, sir, that the tag is on that Jeep Cherokee. Going at 9:25 this morning, I ran it the David system. It says temporary license plate is no longer assigned to the vehicle. Running the VIN number of that Jeep Cherokee at 9:25 this morning does not come back to license tag. Means that it's an unlicensed vehicle.
The Cherokee is.
Yes, sir. Not meet the requirements of our ordinance. The respondent does not seem to understand that the respondent has continually moved cars in and out that are not unlicensed. Slapping a dealer tag on the car, now many dealers misuse dealer tags, as you're honest about.
Yes.
Slapping a dealer tag on the back of the car does not make that a licensed vehicle. Jeep Cherokee has.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Ramon?
But my friend, in the DND offices, that's something that they didn't have to move a car. That's not a car that belongs to that Jeep. That's a temporary car. That's what it says. It's a temporary car that is given by the DND offices for a dealer to move a car from one place to another. That's the purpose of that. And that's the law of the DND offices.
Right.
That's correct, Your Honor. However, that does not mean you can park in this vehicle. You have to be moved from one location to another. It does not grant a permission to park in this vehicle.
All right, sir. All right. Anything further on this case? All right. You may take a seat, Mr. Ramon. Yes.
May I ask one question?
Sure.
In order to do a reinspection of this property, which I'll have to do that in Your Honor's order, I'd like to ask the respondent if I have permission to enter this property and this driveway for the purpose of getting tags and VIN numbers.
Do you give that permission, sir? All right. All right. Please have a seat, Mr. Ramon. All right. I do find that there has been a series of unlicensed vehicles on the property at 3435 Heirloom Rose Place in Oviedo. And I do find that that constitutes a violation of Section 4.11b. Whether those vehicles are owned by Mr. Ramon or by friends or relatives, to have them parked on his property, it does constitute a violation of the ordinance. I'm going to order that the condition be corrected no later than May the 8th, midnight on May the 8th. Should there remain unlicensed vehicles on the property after that date, I will assess a fine of $50 per vehicle per day. Mr. Ramon, that means that if unlicensed vehicles are found on your property after May 8th, you will start accruing fines of $50 per day per vehicle. I'm assuming the city is not seeking the assessment of any cost today of the hearing, all right? No cost have been sought and none are awarded. Anything else on this? All right, and I do note that on the record, Mr. Ramon has given permission to enter his driveway, for the city to enter the driveway for the purpose of ascertaining whether there are indeed any unlicensed vehicles on it. All right, hearing nothing further, that's all we have then on the 3435 Heirloom Rose Place property. All right. Next item on the agenda is Timothy J. Shea, 189 Winding Oaks Lane, Oviedo, Florida, 32765. Tax parcel ID 152131 51900000370. The allegation is that on this property there's being maintained improperly maintained a swimming pool enclosure, which is a violation of IPMC 303.2 as adopted by the city. And also it looks like there's a charge of an accessory structure, Mr. Orioles,
Yes,
302.7.
The swimming pool enclosure is considered an accessory structure.
All right. All right. What is, Mr. Shea, are you going to be presenting today? All right. Well, we'll swear you in when we get to that point. All right, Mr. Orioles, what do you have to present?
Good morning, Your Honor. Again, I'm Jim Orioles representing the city. This is a case involving, as Your Honor has already said, the damage done to a swimming pool enclosure. I have a packet of evidence for Your Honor, if I may approach.
Okay.
This case, Your Honor, has actually, there was a previous case, but we're not holding this against Mr. Shea in any way. We attempted to work with Mr. Shea, and he attempted to work with us in a previous case. This damage that was done in the first picture that Your Honor will see, and virtually every picture that's taken since is exactly the same. I don't know exactly when it occurred. Was it several years ago, Mr. Shea? A year and a half ago, okay. Mr. Shea has stated to me on numerous occasions that he is not financially capable of having it repaired right now. However, he has secured it to the best of his ability. And I can testify to Your Honor that in the many times I've been on the property, his dogs are sometimes, the swimming pool is being maintained. The swimming pool is crystal clear and the pumps are running and it's chlorinated. And several times I have been on his property. Mr. Shea has given me carte blanche to come on his property and inspect any time I wish. The dogs have never been able to get out of the enclosure. Now, one of the dogs is quite anxious to get out, but has not been able to get out. So by that, I have ascertained I don't think anyone could get into it. I don't think it is a safety hazard, because in my opinion, I don't think anyone could get into it. Mr. Shea has also put up a black barrier, as you can see, to further block off anything. The reason we're here, Your Honor, is because we've received a series of complaints from the neighbors, and while we are empathetic to Mr. Shea's situation, we also have a duty to respond to the citizens who have complained. We sent Mr. Shea, as a matter of fact, we didn't send it. I hand-delivered Mr. Shea notice of violation on January 28th, and Your Honor has an affidavit of hand delivery, and Mr. Shea, I'm sure, will acknowledge that he has received that. That asks for a correction date of, I'm sorry, Your Honor, a correction date of February 13th. And all other inspections have found exactly the same result. We have an affidavit of violation or notice of hearing for the last hearing, and also a notice of hearing for this hearing that was hand-delivered to Mr. Shea. This morning, Your Honor, I've taken another picture that shows virtually the same condition. I'd like to add Mr. Shea has been very cooperative with us in his dealings and trying to alleviate the situation. He's given us unlimited access to his property. We just don't know of any other thing that can be done except to bring it before Your Honor.
All right. Well, first let me note that I am receiving into evidence the package of materials that you gave me. which consists of 10 pages. Mr. Orioles, is there a gate right now? I note that 303.2, if there's a gate, has certain gate self-closing
No, sir.
requirements. Is there a gate, or is
No,
this
sir.
completely sealed off?
It's completely sealed off. There was not a fence because there was a aluminum enclosure, so there was no gates involved there. The self-closing requirement, because the screen door is actually screwed shut, you can't open it.
All right.
So-
The only way that anyone can get into the pool is through the house?
Yes, sir. Well, with any pool, they could break the screens through, but through the house is the only way you could get in without actually breaking in.
Right. Well, I'm looking at the ordinance. It says private swimming pools, hot tubs, and spas containing water more than 24 inches in depth, which I assume this certainly does, to be completely surrounded by a fence. This would not qualify as a fence, I would think, or
Yes.
barrier of at least 48 inches. Does what is shown in the photograph here constitute, in your opinion, a barrier?
Yes, sir. However, an accessory structure is supposed to be maintained in good repair. It is not.
Okay. So the real problem is the accessory structure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Some of the neighbors have questioned my view of that it is not a safety hazard. In all honesty, Your Honor, I have to say that. I really wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it. And again, Mr. Shea has 2 dogs. One of them is kind of laid back, and one of them is kind of, I don't know if he wants to play or if he wants to charge, but when I've been in Mr. Shea's backyard at times and the dogs are on the pool deck, the one black dog does try to get out, and has been unsuccessful in getting out.
The yard is not fenced?
No, sir.
If the yard were fenced, would that, with a proper gate, would that be sufficient to comply with 303.2?
Yes,
the
sir,
city's view?
but not 307.
If the yard were fenced, that would probably alleviate some of the complaints for the neighbors?
No, the majority of complaints have been they considered an eyesore in the backyard.
Yeah.
The condition of the dilapidation of the.
Okay, so even with the fence, it would be visible above the
Yes,
fence line?
absolutely. We've tried, Your Honor, to going above and beyond a little bit. We've tried to see if we could get someone that could take the thing down for the scrap value of the aluminum and then maybe, swap it out for fencing or something like that. We've been unsuccessful in doing that. We've been to a couple swimming pool enclosure people and a fence company, and the fence company says he would do the fence about $900 by putting just a chain link fence.
But if the pool enclosure were taken down and the lot were fenced, that would solve both problems, would
Yes,
it
sir.
not?
Absolutely.
Okay. And that would be at a cost of about $800?
The fence would be $900, and I would think that the cost of scrap aluminum today, I would think it would be worth somebody's while to take that down for the aluminum. But Mr. Shea would have to have some kind of guarantee if somebody would do that. The fence would go up first or immediately thereafter, and he has not, and I have not. I've tried as well to find somebody to do that, and I have not been unsuccessful. I will continue to try. However, I have been unsuccessful.
All right. All right. Anything else?
No, sir.
Mr. Shea. Would you raise your right hand, please, sir? You solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
All right. Tell us what you want to present, Mr. Shea.
Actually, I think Mr. Orioles kind of summarized it pretty well. Difficulties, and there's nobody in that neighborhood that's more embarrassed about that situation than the person standing before you today. I do agree with Mr. Orioles. I have a puppy. She likes to play, and she is not able to get out. The first order of business when we get back on our feet is taking care of Both of them are, and we have already gotten two quotes or estimates on doing a wooden fence.
And those would be how much?
Right around what Mr. Oriole said, somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 would be the whole.
Okay. And what's the cost of removing the damaged screen enclosure?
Like Mr. Oriole said, I have not even really had somebody even take a nibble at it, Your Honor.
Well, yeah. Mr. Oriole, do you think that someone would remove that for the scrap value?
I have thought so, sir, but I've been unsuccessful. Well, and one of the problems, or the property owner who lets me come on his property, any unlicensed, and he wanted, and I will as well, we want a licensed contract. I could find a junk guy. But that would not be a licensed contract. If the junk guy gets hurt on the property, there's all kinds of liabilities and shit. I have tried to find some licensed contractors that would be willing to do that. I have not been successful, although I'm not trying.
Yeah.
But at this point, I've been unsuccessful. They would appear to be like they should be.
Okay. But in any event, the fence has got to come first, because we can't leave the pool unsecured.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, Mr. Shea, it presents a problem. Because technically, I'm going to have to find that you're in violation of Section 302.7, because this certainly is in bad repair.
Yes, sir.
So I don't know that I have any choice but to find you in violation on that. You have any prospect at all for how long it would take you to get that fence erected and the screen enclosure removed?
A lot of it really depends, quite honestly, on getting reemployment. I'm unemployed for a fair bit. Got a small consulting firm that I'm currently working. I have established, and I get small bids and small contracts, but certainly not of this magnitude. So,
Well,
I
it's
can
something
assure
that
you-
can't continue indefinitely.
yes, sir.
What I'm going to rule is that, let me look at my calendar here. Since this is not a safety hazard, as long as that pool is, the barrier is
Yes,
up,
sir.
I'm going to be more generous on the time than I normally would. Should the barrier come down or become a safety hazard, of course, that changes everything.
Yes, sir.
But going to give you until June the 30th, midnight on June 30th, to come into compliance on the accessory structure that would essentially be removing the screen enclosure. And of course, you understand that the fence is going to have to be in place before you do that, or
Yes, sir.
some barrier there. So the situation is going to have to be corrected by June 30, or I will impose a fine of $50 a day thereafter. I think I and the city are obviously sympathetic to your situation, but it's something that we can't allow to go on indefinitely.
No, I understand that, sir.
All right, sir.
Thank you.
Good luck with it. I'm going to also provide, as I normally do in these swimming pool cases, that should the pool enclosure become dilapidated to the point that it constitutes a clear and present danger to the life, health, and safety of the public, that the city, in its discretion, is authorized to enter upon respondent's property and effectuate repairs of the swimming pool enclosure, in which event all reasonable cost of the repairs shall constitute an obligation of the respondent to the city and a lien upon respondent's property. All right. Anything else on that item? All right. That concludes the code enforcement portion of the hearing today. We're going to take a short break here to allow them to get the equipment set, and then we're going to proceed to the administrative citations.